now that's called Dreamcatcher Way?
Right over here?
Yeah.
I think that's Big Ben.
That's Big Bend, that's not Vernon,
Yeah.
right?
Greencatcher Way? That's an, oh,
Right by
Dream.
Quick Trip?
Oh, that's after
Behind
Garab.
Quick Trip,
Yeah, Garabay, they named it?
Dreamcatcher Way, yeah, that's the one. So that's not Vernon.
yeah, that's Big
No,
Ben.
if you look for the blue or green address signs, green's Vernon, blue
Oh,
Big Bend.
okay.
I think Waukesha is red.
Never seems to be getting developed over there. Never mind.
So it's supposed to be sewer and water.
Oh.
You ready? Ready, gentlemen? It's 6 o'clock. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to call the Village of Vernon Board meeting to order. Today is Thursday, December 5th, 2024. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance of the flag and a moment of silence? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. I will do the roll call. I'm here, President Shu, Trustee Pecca,
Here.
Trustee Finch,
Here.
Trustee Newman,
Here.
Trustee Millies.
Here.
I'll note for the record that we do have a quorum of the village board, and also note for the record that this meeting has been noticed in full compliance with the open meetings law. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to read a possible closed session later on in the meeting. Consideration and possible action on a motion to convene into executive session under Wisconsin State Statute 19.85, paren 1, paren C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. More specifically, the Village of Vernon Clerk Administrator and candidate applications, resumes for the full-time administrator clerk position for the Village of Vernon. Next agenda item is one of my favorites, public comments. Are there any public comments?
I guess me.
Tina? Tina, we know who you are, but please state for
I
our
will.
record your name and address.
Good evening. Can you hear me? Did you do this right there?
Yeah, I think it's on.
Good evening. My name is Tina Doggett. Address, West 264, South 7520, Mount Whitney Avenue, Waukesha. Resident, 32 years.
And you're only 33. I can't believe it.
Yeah, I had my hair dyed like first, I wanted to take a moment and thank the village board for their service to our community. It's easy for all of us on the sidelines to be critical, especially when we may not know all the facts in a given situation. And so I just wanted to share that as I've been reading things and looking at different areas in the documents and stuff, I see that there is a big learning curve in everything that goes on with the village here. And with that said, now we are all aware that our previous clerk didn't work out as we had expected. And I hope the board has taken a look at what could have been done differently in the selection process. Since we all have our own strengths and weaknesses, we hope the board has put into place a few good people with HR backgrounds to help with your current search. And I just wanted to go on the record with that, because it's really important. It costs all of us a lot of time and money with the previous person. And then I'd like to speak about True Green and the village's desire to spray the grass. I did find the contract, and I see that the contract is for over $5,000. I just wondered, have you requested other bids? Because that's a lot of money, and I'm sure that it will not discourage any residents from spraying their lawns, but maybe your desire to save some of our taxpayer dollars will pique your interest in an effort to eliminate at least a percentage of the spraying. Why do we need to spray, or why to the extent that we do spray? Our families and pets spend time in these parks and that are being covered in pesticides. Statistics do show that cancers are appearing in younger people and are much more aggressive. To effectively deter weeds, most experts recommend just keeping your grass at a height of between 3 and 4 inches. Mowing at this height shades out the weed seeds, allows your grass to grow thicker, and gives it a competitive edge against weeds by blocking sunlight access. And I won't go into anything else about organic and all of that, because I don't have grass, and I know Jeff has a lot of grass. But with that said, and on one final note, I know that yesterday there was a meeting with Keller, and I hope that that went well. And I think we're kind of curious to know if you have spoken to any other people as far as the remodel also. And thank you for your time.
Thank you, Tina. Are there any other public comments? Mr. Price?
Basically, I just wanted to,
Mr. Price, I know that we know who you are, but just state for the record for the
yeah,
audience. Your name.
Robert Price. I live on West 246, South 6385 Clearview Lane. Been a resident here for 20 years. And I just wanted to just share concerns with some people, just to make sure that whatever was discussed in that meeting with Keller becomes part of the public record and disseminated to the residents so that they have full understanding of what the particulars are. And I share her comments as well to entertain competitive bids if that's feasible to do so. I think it's just a matter of making sure that transparency is there with the residents so that they know what is being proposed so that they can be comfortable with that. And also just a general synopsis of what is driving the need for that and so on. You know, just in general, just a summation of the factors that are, you know, pushing the remodeling of the firehouse. Okay?
Sounds good. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Price.
Thank you.
Are there any other public comments? Mr. Wagner, Merle, you want to state your name and address for the record?
Merle Wagner, West 265, South 8000, Somerset Lane, Town of Vernon, Village of Vernon.
To see Merle, that's a quarter.
Anyway, it was interesting that the lady that came before us, she mentioned about Keller. I'm hoping we're not going to make the same kind of mistakes we made the first time around. I think we have to give some thought to, I know you have a position open. I'm not looking for that. Okay. Well, what I'm saying is that when you have a position that's higher, because when a person lives out of town and works for us, they don't have the same feeling for the people of this village. Okay, in other words, there's no skin in the game for those people. And I think when in your hiring process, you should be thinking about having that as part of the hiring procedure, that they either live here or intend to live here within a period of time. And there's pros and cons in that, of course, because sometimes you might not get as many good persons, but I'll tell you, in some of these areas, like as for instance the fire service, there are so many people that are looking for chief positions that you wouldn't believe it. I'm not one of them, of course, but that's basically what I want to say. Now, on this Keller thing, again, we're going down the same avenue of trusting one firm. I think we have to look outside the box. Sometimes when you're outside the box, things do appear. And that's my thoughts on this. And I appreciate what you guys are trying to do. Don't take it the wrong way. I've had some experience with the town, a little bit. And I've done some designing of buildings and stuff, so, although I'm not an architect. So, okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Merle. Are there any other public comments? Before we leave public comments, I just want to tell the public that is here, the board is going to meet on Thursday at 6 o'clock. Not a real formal. we would welcome, I hope board members agree with me that we would welcome comments. One of our village residents is an architectural engineer and did some extensive research, and although I respect Keller, I have nothing wrong with Keller, I thought it'd be nice to bring in another gentleman and have like an open forum, so it's not a formal, it'll be a formal board meeting because we have to recognize it, statutorily that way, but would welcome people to come to that meeting. It's this Thursday at 6 o'clock. Just to talk over, because to comply with the open meetings law, we can't talk about how we feel individually about that. So when we're talking about those subjects, I'm hearing what supervisors are saying for the first time, which is great because that dialogue is important. But like I said, we want to welcome people, that anybody that wants to attend, we'd welcome. I hope board members agree that we welcome comments to that effect also. Gentlemen, before I got 2 deviations, I just wanted to ask Kyle, is there anything the Sheriff's Department would like to state for the record at this time?
Nope, we're good.
Everything's good?
Yep.
Alrighty. Thank you, gentlemen. You guys stay safe, and thank you for your service.
Appreciate it.
Vince, if you would come forward, gentlemen, if you don't mind, if we could do a slight deviation to the agenda, I'd like to bring up the 2020-25 contract for Wisconsin Vernon's building inspector. It's Wisconsin Building Inspection Services. And as you know, Vince is only 30 years old, but he's been here for 25 years. And board members, the contract I drew up for you, I did not put dates in there because we talked about 3 years, 5 years. There was some concern about Vince not being, involved, and I can't imagine living in the town or the village without Vince being here, because, I'm not just saying this, but Vince goes way above and beyond what a regular building inspector do, and Jared and Jason, 2 of your colleagues. But gentlemen, I'll turn it over to the board. What we're obviously, you looked at the contract for Vince. Vince, before they talk about it, is there anything that, one of the things that they were concerned about, Vince, is now that you're 30, would you be considering retirement? They just wanted to know what's your anticipation of your future as Vince and the company itself.
Yeah, so to be honest with you, I am going to start winding down towards the end of the year. I'll still be in contact. I still am basically a senior partner of our firm. The 2 of the guys that are going to be here when I leave and we start making a transition are 2 guys who have been here for 7 years, Jason and Jared. They're my senior partners also. So, but by no means am I going to be out of the company. I'm still work with the company and still, if they need me for anything, for planning commission, if we need it to revise, every year we revise our zoning code, take a look at that. Those are things that I'm going to be part of and with our company extensively. So once I do leave, it's going to be a slow, but I'll still probably be out in the field to do our new developments. But someone, either Jason or Jared, can feed in here, slowly transition.
And Vince, I just wanted to state too for the record that whenever we do provisions to the zoning code, your input and expertise in regards to what we're looking at is extremely appreciated. The other factor too is Vince is the first person that people come to in regards to our zoning code, and he's very good about jotting down things that he sees are in conflict. And the luxury of being a village is you can tweak your zoning code based upon what the residents are requesting or what we're seeing that needs to be done. Whereas a town, I love town government, but you're under the auspices of the county, and it's a lot harder to get things done. So, gentlemen, I'll entertain any questions that you have for Vince, or.
The only question I have is, would you be opposed to a 5-year contract for any reason?
No, generally speaking, that's what we're going 3 and 5 year contracts without we used to.
Personally, I feel like a 5-year contract is, you've been here forever. I think that's the way to go. And as long as you don't have any opposition to it, that's how I feel.
I'm very agreeable on that too.
I am too.
I am too. So that's why I didn't fill in the dates. And when Vince and I did speak, I did say that the board was talking a 3 to 5 year, and 5 years gives him a good planning perspective. And Jason and Jared they're not Vince, but they're pretty up there.
They're good people.
Well, with that, I'd entertain a motion to approve the 2020-25 Vernon Building Inspector contract with Wisconsin Building Services for 5 years and authorize the village president to sign said contract. Is there a second to my motion?
I'll second it.
Second by trustee Pecca. Discussion from the board. Discussion, hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Vince. You can go watch Packer game now.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks again, Vince, for all your service.
Take care.
Alrighty. Next agenda item, we have the 2020, it's a resolution 2024-11, a resolution to dissolve the Village of Vernon TIF district and authorize the village president to sign the form that the DOR does. The reason I feel real strongly about this is, I was very, very glad in the provisions of the law to allow us to become a village, we had to create a TIF district. And the most probable area to do that was the fire station. And at the time, there was a couple developers that were looking at that site. And the reason I put all the information in the packet, all those old resolutions and stuff, it's a good piece of information that the Department of Transportation provided to the village in regards to how that land was given to the village. And I can tell you from other town chairs, village presidents, and city mayors trying to buy land off of the DOR after it was donated, the DOT, after it was donated to community is extremely difficult. And I'm sure you all know the wetland area that surrounds the fire station is pretty significant, and it's getting more significant every year. And there's really no need to have that TIF district. We have no intention of developing that area in a TIF. And I can tell you the school districts, the county, they don't like them at all because it's a tax exempt, for them. And it would just clean up a lot of the board that serves on the TIF district. We could let them know that we no longer need this TIF district and we are dissolving it. And I also wanted to provide the information from the administration of the DOA, just so you know that if we dissolve this TIF district, it has no effect on our village status. So with that, are there any questions in regards to this resolution?
I was just gonna say that TIF district is kind of useless because the property's not taxed anyway, so the school's not getting any money
Right.
if it's in or out. So basically, it was just all paperwork versus.
Where the schools and WCTC in the county is, I mean, and that could not, it could happen, but it'd take a tremendous amount of work to change that to, a business. But you're talking an area where you could have significant revenue, and what they don't like is there's such a delay in the revenue that they receive, so. And I did talk to the board to let them know that our board was discussing this, and each one of them were pleased to see that. We were just considering that, so. So is there a motion to approve resolution 2014-11, a resolution to dissolve the Village of Vernon's TIF district and authorize the village president to sign the DOR form?
I'll make the motion.
It was trustee Finch. Is there a second to the motion?
The only comment, I'll make the second, the only comment I have is it's not 2014, it's 2024.
I'm sorry, 2024-11, I'm sorry. Thank you, trustee Newman. Further discussion from the board. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Ordinance number 2020-24-18 is an ordinance to repeal and recreate and reduce the speed limit on Edgewood Avenue from 45 miles an hour to 35 miles an hour from National Avenue to the underpass of the bridge. The village of McGuanago has already passed. They did it by resolutions. Ours are typically by ordinance. As you know, our engineer, our GPW director, and the sheriff's department were out there looking at that corner. The village of McGuanago is writing, as I told you at the meeting before, they're writing an awful lot of tickets where people are going 60 and 75 miles an hour. And so in any areas that affect our villages, we have a real close working relationship with the village of McGuanago, and they have a full-time police department, so they're watching specifically. Not that they write tickets for Vernon, but if we were consistent in the area, And as you saw, their engineering firm, their DPW firm, and their police department all had encouraged their board to adopt the same type of law. And this obviously would be contingent on legal review because it was kind of put it together quick. So if the board is so inclined to adopt this ordinance, it would be contingent on legal review. So is there a motion to adopt ordinance 2020-24-18, an ordinance to repeal and recreate the speed limit on Edgewood Avenue from 45 miles an hour to 35 miles an hour from National to the underpass of I-43 Bridge?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it because I think this is the first of many roads that could use a speed limit adjustment.
My biggest fear is like, let's say if that gets developed more around there, with kids on bikes,
Well, in the first phase of the new subdivision that's going in,
Yeah.
that'll be in, Vernon's won't come till the end of next year, that our portion of that development, but McGuanago's development will hit first. And you can see those condos on that area, they're building those condos, that's in the village of McGuanago. They're building those extremely fast. And a lot of our residents are moving in there because they don't want to do the big yards and, But, like I said, this will be, I think, great for both communities to have a safer, and the kids in the morning too, they're finding some of the kids going to school, they're trying to, and we're working on the National Avenue project also, but that we're working with the county also, so. So, further discussion, board? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next agenda item is a new agreement with T-Mobile cell tower and authorize village president to sign. We have two contracts here. T-Mobile, we did approve a contract in July of 2024. After we approve the contract, we always do it contingent on legal review. John did his legal review, and when he gave it to the former clerk administrator, T-Mobile sent not brand new, but a new contract. And anytime there's a change to the contract, we rescinded that motion of approval. So now the question is will the board approve this contract once again contingent on legal review? And just so you know, I'll double check the bills, but they will get billed. T-Mobile gets billed for any legal fees that we, right. And we do that to anybody that's asking us for a contract.
In that case, I'd make a motion to approve it contingent on legal review.
Thank you, Trustee Newman. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Trustee Finch. Discussion from the board. I think the changes weren't significant, but anytime there's a change to the contract, we always rescinded it. So, all in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next agenda item is the cell tower that we have at station number 2. That's the Amera Tower, Allegiance Tower. As you noted, and they're going to do this every year, every 6 months. They get a new person on their team, and they always want to put out, hey, here's the signing bonus. We'll do this, we'll do that. They always want to change the terms of that agreement. I'm asking the board to just don't make any decisions tonight. I really want you to, read that. And what I'd like to do is I want to find a couple other proposals that they gave to the town and village so you can see what they tried to do. And nothing against that, it's a free market. But I just want you an opportunity to see, and they're not doing that because they want to help the village. They're doing it because they want some type of a sunset or some type of, so just if the board doesn't mind, if you take, some time just to kind of research that a little bit. And in the meantime, I want to give you some other proposals that they gave in the past. Because when he just sent this to me a couple weeks ago and he wanted to see if you guys are going to have a special meeting to approve it last week, I said, they don't have a board meeting until the 5th. So, like I said, I'm not asking for action on this. What I would ask the board is to research it, and then I'd like to find a couple other proposals that were done. Amera Tower has been a good partner, and they pay a lot of money to be on. But I'm always wondering, one thing we haven't done, and I'd like to find that out for sure too. We have an agreement an agreement that if there's any additional carriers on there, I just want to make sure, because the person that knows all that, remember Keith Nyman from the cell tower on Artesian? Boy, he knows a lot, who's doing what and when. So I just want to do a little bit more research on that. Does that sound good, gentlemen?
He's their attorney, right?
No, Keith is, he does that for a living. He defines cell tower locations and does all the negotiations.
Okay.
But he knows an awful lot. So I just would like to get the board just a little bit more information. I'd like you to see what other proposals have come in the past. And that's what I'll tell this agent is there, the board is researching it. It makes them nervous too, if you're researching it. Any other discussion from the board? All right, the next agenda item is one that we do every year, our Humane Animal Society. It's their 2020-25 contract, and quite frankly, we've done that with Paws for years, and they do a great job. So I don't know if if board members have any questions or want any comments, but this would be the approval of that contract and authorizing the village president to sign said contract.
Need a motion?
Yes, I do.
Oh, I'll do it.
Thank you, trustee Finch. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Second by trustee Pecca. Like I said, gentlemen, this is a standard contract, Hawes does every year or so. Any further discussion, gentlemen? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. As Tina talked about the True Green contract, I mean, they're in a big rush. And typically, I know years ago, Doug Salentine, John Henneberry, all of them looked at, this is a while ago, I don't know if Brett has done anything, but it might be advantageous for us to wait a couple weeks, get some more, get some more, and then look into the fact that how often are the applications done, do they have to be done? Because the original contract he sent me was was over almost $8,000, and I said, holy, this went up a big, and he said, well, you need more applications, and I said, well, first of all, we don't have it in the budget, and, so he knocked it back to his previous amount, but I think Tina brings up good points, not only in regards to bidding it out, but looking at the, what they're using and how often they're using, and, some of the, I just think her point was well taken. Does the board concur with that?
Eco considerations,
Yes.
yeah.
So, do you mind delaying on that,
No.
gentlemen?
No.
And then,
We're not gonna be putting anything down on the grass for a while.
Right, so maybe
Give
we.
it to Brett and ask him to go get some bids.
Yeah, so that's what, instead of approving the contract, we'll just direct staff to go out and get some bids and some additional research in regards to, what they're putting on and how close that is to the ditches and, because leaching is a concern. And so, is there any problem with directing, by consensus, the board will direct staff to get some more information for the board on this item? Jeff, can I ask, do you hire, or do you do your own application?
Do it ourselves.
Oh, okay.
As I say, most of the products today, once they dry on the plant, they don't come off. So it's like, you don't have to worry about, it'll roll around on the grass, it's not gonna come on you or anything.
Yeah.
I mean, the stuff today they're using is actually pretty safe.
Is it?
That's why.
Not like the stuff they used to have.
No.
Maybe what you use, Jeff, right?
No, I mean, you gotta look at the stuff they're using on the grass more as a plant medicine. You can't just call it a pesticide and think it's bad. Most of the stuff's not that toxic. The stuff we eat today is much more toxic in a lot of ways.
Oh, great.
It's
Which
just,
comes from that ground. Which comes from the ground that's toxic.
no, but your salt, sugar, alcohol.
Yeah.
You do that in one night, and that's more toxic than most of the chemicals you're applying on the grass. So it's really a misconception out there, and everybody's just assuming pesticides are bad, but it's kind of a misleading.
My grandparents' farm in Caldwell, they used to say you could drink Roundup.
Are you kidding? Oh, my God. I know I went on a farm field where they put the chemical down in between the corn, and if you walked off the field, the next day you saw your footprints. I don't know what they were using, but I never walked on it, I really can't. But like I said, gentlemen, what we'll do is we'll direct staff to get some more information for the board. Does that sound good?
I was gonna say, the only thing I can see doing, you can maybe cut, herbicide app down to once a year. But fertilizer, one at least twice a year with the amount of play the fields get and stuff.
Yeah. Does that sound good,
Yeah.
gentlemen? Okay, so we'll do a delay and do some more research on that one. Next agenda item is the positive pay program with Citizens Bank, and authorize the village president to respond to the bank on the board's decision. I know when Citizens Bank came in and presented this program to the village board for the protection of the village board, I never realized how much work and how, that, not that I'm afraid of work, but, you know, first of all, our software doesn't download a good Excel document for the bank to use. And if whoever sends that document doesn't do the correct our Excel document from our software, checks have, say the check was $477, the bank authorized $4.77, our occupancy bond was $400, they gave $4, so we're having a lot of trouble, and it's between Terry and I, every single morning you've got to approve checks, where when we first had the issue with the bank, I would send them after AP's PDF file for them to check, you know, because it was their concern of what they were cashing. I mean, obviously, we're concerned also, but this positive pay program is not what they presented it to be. I think it's awful, so does Terry.
I trust your judgment.
So I'd make a motion to discontinue the positive pay program.
It's like $20 a month or something, right?
Right.
So
It's not a lot.
if we for some reason decide we want it again, we can always buy it again. It's not
Right.
like there's a cancellation fee.
And in the meantime, I would send them after every board meeting, the checks that are approved or voided, I'd send them the PDF because it's really, they cashed some checks that they shouldn't have, you know, it wasn't, we didn't make the mistake. So is there a second to my motion?
I'll second
Okay, further discussion from the board? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Winter newsletter. Tina, thank you a million times over. I mean, with the budget, the tax bills, I mean, I can't tell you what a godsend it was that you stepped in to do that for
My pleasure.
the village. Jay?
Tina, I thought it was very, very well written up.
Oh, thank
It was very well written.
you.
Did
I'm
you
learning.
see, you see that one correction in there about the presidential
Yeah,
primary?
we discussed it. I'm waiting for all of the changes.
Right,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I told Tina hold off to see if there's anything else, board members, because her and I were going back and forth, I felt so bad because, I mean, it looked so nice. I mean, she did such a great job, but
She's a star proofreader.
I remember the previous newsletters, like, oh my God.
Yeah, he didn't make all the corrections.
So if the board members don't have any other, because what I'd like, Tina, do you want me to send it in, or are you sending it in to LPI?
You, but
Okay.
after I make whatever changes
Yeah.
you send over in the morning, maybe?
Yeah, because I'd like to, because that's the only thing I know, Gary brought that up, you know, I didn't see anything else.
I made my one change and emailed you about it.
Right.
Other than that, I thought it's great.
My only question is, it seemed like the Christmas tree drop-off was kind of late in January.
Yeah,
Because typically, January 6th is the last day of Christmas season. That's when the tree always came down on the 7th. And now you got 2 weeks to wait before you can drop it off, sitting outside.
Well, yeah.
they still could
I
drive
They
burn
it.
permit.
missed me one year, so
Bring
I
it
just,
backyard.
I just burned it.
But
That's
The,
what I do.
Yeah, but
We don't
the,
have kids, let it on fire.
but it was kind of a thing like, oh, this is where you drop it off and everything else. And then you can set it out at the curb too. Are we still setting it at the
No,
curb?
they don't do
No,
that.
it kind of says something about.
No,
putting
it did,
It did early. It
But
was old.
We corrected
Okay,
that.
all right.
And it doesn't prohibit if somebody wants to drop, whether, that's when the dumpster's gonna be here. So if
Okay.
somebody
Just
drops
come
off their
down, so
tree,
yeah.
The only thing is, we just wanna make sure that they're not all put together, because that is a fun thing for, my son used to pick them up and bring them in our backyard. So,
They're very good.
yeah, cause I know, that's the dates I got from Waste Management, so next time we go into contract, we can, you know, ask them for more of a time frame. I don't know what Waukesha, I know they have to bring them to Waukesha too, but I don't know when their drop off is either. But if people do call, I'm sure staff will tell them if they wanna bring it down, you know, and Brett will have them put them in an area, you know, so that we can just haul them into the dumpster. So, any other thing on the newsletter? Then with that, I'd make a motion to approve the Village of Vernon View Winter 2020-24 newsletter. Is there a second to my motion?
Second.
Oh, go ahead.
A second.
Thank you.
Second by trustee Newman. Discussion from the board. Discussion, hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next agenda item, the 941 tax reports need to be submitted to the IRS. And the deputy clerk would like someone to authorize her to do that. She has to sign them, but I did reassure her, it's coming from the software, there's no liability on her part.
Okay.
The only thing is, whenever I did a 941, they always went by certified, because the IRS is notorious for saying, oh, we never got it. But if you have that documentation, they're sassy sometimes. So we always send it certified, but that's what I would do, is entertain a motion, or I'd make the motion to authorize the deputy interim clerk to file the Village of Vernon 941 tax reports. Is there a second to my motion?
I'll second that.
Second by trustee Newman. Discussion from the board. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Center Bridge project, we're waiting now to see, when the bids go out. I'm anxious to see how many bids we get on the bridge. A lot of stuff happened within the last 3 weeks. A lot of stuff happened with the DOT and the federal government. Not so much the county, but all the players that are involved. There was a lot of stuff happening, and you guys were signing plats, and so hopefully by the next board meeting we'll find out for sure when it's going to go out for bid. And it should be a pretty lucrative bid, because it's a couple $1 million, and usually those are bids that And I found out too, they don't think originally they said when they talked to us originally, they said the bridge Center Drive is going to be closed for a year. But it's not. They're thinking maybe 2 to 3 months. If things go
Really?
well, which would be
That's
great.
good to hear.
Right. And the only thing, Brett and our engineer are working on the Center Drive portions of that bridge. And they are having trouble with the DNR, because the DNR does not want to work with them. And if the DNR is not going to approve the shoulders that our engineer and DPW director had asked for, the village board is going to have to seriously look at restricting parking, because what they limited the village to is not conducive to safe parking, and that'll be borne upon the DNR, just so people know.
Is there a reason why the DNR
No.
is being difficult?
Nope.
That's what they do.
They are mad because we didn't force Mr. Bartholomew to make him give up his land for people to access the river. Trespass on his property. He's very upset about that. And he's got his right to be upset, but to restrict, we had 2 of our engineers try to talk to the DNR, and they won't budge. So the type of roads that we wanted to put in, the shoulders and the slopes would have been much more safer and conducive. Not that it's not safe, but it's not safe to be parking on it. I mean, that road's not that big to begin with, so that issue we'll discuss at a later time, but I just want to let you know things are in play now, so as soon as it goes out for bid, I'll let you know what's happening there. Does that sound good?
Yeah, sounds good.
And we always put that on the agenda just in case, because for a while there we had to call special meetings, and everything's so timely, so. Last agenda item is clerk administrator interviewing process. The board is going to go into closed session on that item possibly later on the agenda. The next item is correspondence, announcements, and reports. I will defer to the trustees first. Jay, did you have a report or an announcement?
Well,
Yeah,
I
turn on
guess,
your microphone. Sorry.
I would just like to say a special, thank you to Karen, Tom Tomasic, and our village trustees here for working on that budget. I know it was a rigorous process, but we really pulled through well with this one. And I would like to say, what a great job Brett and our DPW guys did trimming all our main town roads. They take like a trimmer and trim all the large stuff or whatever, so it really looks nice going down the roads, and I want to wish everybody to be safe when doing their holiday shopping. That's it.
Thank you. Trustee Finch?
I'd like to tell the people of Vernon that we're gonna be upfront and for the buildings, make sure everybody has fair bids gone out on whatever we decide we're gonna put up, and we'll go from there. But it's gonna be done open.
Thank you, Trustee Finch. Trustee Newman?
I don't really have anything.
Trustee Millies?
I'd just like to thank Tina again for doing the newsletter. That really made it a lot easier on the staff here. And thank you for all your time doing that. Also, I'd like to say too, with that meeting with Keller, basically we just gave him direction to say, how much is it to remodel and expand the fire station to meet the fire department needs? Because basically we need to come up with a number to put on the referendum.
Yes.
And we can't go through the whole process of getting elaborate plans without knowing a number.
Right.
So that's kind of just where we're at with that last meeting, so the public knows. And no decisions were made, we just kind of gave them a little bit of direction to try to figure something out at a lesser cost.
Get an approximation so that you can roll it into the referendum, right?
I just feel bad about the timing. I mean, having a meeting this Thursday, I know it's the holidays and stuff, but I didn't want to miss that opportunity with the other architectural engineer and a village resident, and then have it not so formal where, people have questions or ideas, because, I mean, when we're talking, at a meeting, we're talking, it's the first time I'm hearing what other board members are saying, and the focus was, at the last meeting, we didn't make any formal motions, but we all agreed that we're putting the DPW and the village hall on the sideline and focusing our efforts just on the fire department right now, only because of the desperate need at the fire department, opposed to the village hall. The only other thing I need to announce is the SAM.gov account. That is where I applied for, that's where I got the $2 million grant. That had to be re-upped this month, and I did that. And I have 2 areas where I think I can apply for 2 more grants, and the fire department always uses sam.gov when they apply for their, and the fire department does apply for grants very often. The last one they didn't get, but they constantly, try to get those federal dollars in through the federal government. So that was renewed. Want to thank the guys, for all their hard work on the roads. And with that, I will go to the DPW report was in your packet. Brett explained how they're doing the roadside. I know they call it the bad lax. There's a term for that when they do their trimming. And I know some people don't like it, but as far as our safety for our DPW workers, that is much safer. We've had a couple guys blow their knees out when they were tripping on stumps, and and it does grow back nicely. It comes back. And then as you saw in his report, he's getting all the trucks ready, and all the shop is being inventoried and cleaned, and so those guys are busy working on that. And the sheriff's department, their formal report will be in our next board packet. And with that, we're jumping into accounts payable for December 5th, 2024. Did everybody get a chance to peek at those? I'm just going to pull it up because I don't know what my number is.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve batch 2024 1205 in the amount of $57,701.77.
Is there a second to the motion?
So,
I'm beating you to it tonight.
A discussion from the board. Discussion, hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. This is not a formal manual check, but if Tina gets the newsletter to me tomorrow and I can get it to LPI, although Fridays are busy, it's not too bad, because they do the church ones on Thursdays, but I'd like to get that going like ASAP. So there will be a request in a week or so for a manual check for postage, I just don't have the amount.
Okay.
And I wanted to say thank you. Did you see all the new sponsors that we got in the newsletter? And the more and more sponsors we get, the less we have to pay for that newsletter. So thank you to them. And if anybody can think of more sponsors, please do. I have great news on the bank reconciliation. Terry and Kelly are into July. All bank recs are done to July. Kelly has got everything, Terry's got everything reconciled to, I believe, the end of October on the other accounts, which don't have a lot of activity, but they're making substantial progress, which I'm really, really pleased about. I have to email Karen again. She asked for some more information, clarification on a couple items, and I'll email Karen tomorrow to see where she is on the audit. But I'm really pleased with, I'm not pleased because that's ungodly. We have to do a filing for when the previous board bonded for roads and equipment, they did a $2.7 million bond. There's a report that has to be done by the end of the year. And I just want to ask Karen where she's at, because I have to report that the bank, I'd have to report where we are on the bank reconciliations. I'll also have to report on the audit. And we also have to amend our financial statement, because we filed the financial statement with numbers that, we have to amend. So, just so the board knows that. Next agenda item is board minutes. The first one would be November 7th, 2024. It was a village board meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a motion to approve the corrections?
I went through them once.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from November 7th.
Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
Second by trustee Finch, discussion? Discussion, hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. November 13th, village board and finance meeting. Is there a motion for approval there?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
That motion was made by trustee Newman and seconded by trustee Pecca. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. November 18th, 2024, village board finance meeting. Is there a motion for that?
I'll make a motion.
For approval, trustee Finch?
Yep.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Second by trustee Newman. Discussion from the board. Discussion, hearing none. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Let's see, November 18th, village board closed session meeting. Is there a motion for approval of those minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Second by trustee, a motion was made by trustee Millie, second by trustee Finch. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Sue will have the minutes done from the 21st, she just didn't get time to get it done. And then the next one is November 27th, village board meeting. Is there a motion for approval on those minutes?
I'll make this motion.
Is there, a motion was made by trustee Finch. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second.
Second by trustee Pecca. Discussion from the board? Discussion, hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. So we have our public hearing for the 2020-25 budget on December 11th at 5:30. That is typically our plan commission meeting, so the board's going to meet at 5:30 to approve the proposed 2020-25 budget. Then we have a joint plan commission and village board meeting on December 11th at 6 o'clock. We have our normal village board meeting on December 19th, 2024 at 6 o'clock. On December 12th at 6 p.m. we have the informal, we'll call it village board workshop meeting for new facilities. And as you know, the village hall will be closed on the 24th and 25th in observance of Christmas. And just a reminder, the taxes will be collected at Citizens Bank, Vernon office on 164, right next to the Quick Chip. So with that, I would entertain a motion to go into closed session as stated by the village president and printed on the agenda. Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Is there a second to the motion? I'll do a roll call vote. President Shu, I'm going to abstain. Trustee Pecker. Or do you want to go into closed session? It's a yea or an A? We have to say something.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh.
Trustee Finch?
I didn't know what to ask.
Trustee Newman?
Abstain.
Trustee Millies?
Yes.
Okay, so the board is going to go into closed session. Thank you, everybody, for coming this evening. You have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you on the 19th or the 9th, or whatever.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Gotcha.
Let me just get everything.